Hi everyone, this is Meow Mariah. Let's continue our game of Mortal Kombat 1, running on PlayStation 5. It's been a while since we played this game. I've actually been playing it. I just haven't been playing it on stream. But I thought I'd take this opportunity to at least try out this new controller I got. This is a fight box. Not sure how well you can see that. But it basically has some additional buttons now. We've got this one over here, which does the touchpad, shortcut to the touchpad. And we got these two buttons up here, which are L3 and R3. So more buttons to play with. Mortal Kombat actually has kind of a lot of buttons to begin with, but I don't really like where they're placed as far as the default is concerned. Unfortunately, some of these buttons are not as configurable as they are in other fighting games. So, like the touchpad is kind of reserved for very special functions in Mortal Kombat. And I'm still kind of getting used to this new layout. So I probably won't do as well as I normally do, which is not well. So let's play some invasions. Oh yeah, we've barely even done this. In fact, I think the last time I played this, Chameleon just came out.
Fight.
But this is the order NRS wants you to play this game. Alright. I don't remember any combos.
Peacemaker wins.
What is in the shop? Some keys. Do I have keys? I'm sure I'll need keys. Actually, it's for the Mesa. Where's the... God, what am I thinking of? I want to... Oh, we can't pin moves here? I thought we could. Oh, I think we can only do it when we're actively playing. Sporting fire crystals, what?
Fight.
So let's do just some basic stuff here. How about we pin that one? Maybe that one. I don't want to put too much on the screen. It's super annoying, right?
Peacemaker wins.
See, when your vision level increases, stats of all fighters increase. Each fighter will also gain 5 stat points. Would like to assign these points manually. Yeah, we gotta do these manually. I wish they would have gotten this to 60 frames. It's so weird to have it in 30. Like, the whole rest of the game is in 60.
Fight. Finish her. Peacemaker
Yeah.
wins.
Well, having a button on your pinky is weird. At least as far as the left hand goes. So I'm trying not to hit it because it's the menu button. But you know, there's only so many places you can put buttons on a controller, right? So you got to figure out some way where your hands will naturally fall in sync.
Peacemaker wins.
I know, all this time I've been playing Sindel. So Peacemaker is quite a different beast. Oh no, these survive ones? Ah, great. What the hell is it this time?
Survive.
I'm definitely not a fan of these. Oh, son of a bitch.
Peacemaker wins. Test your might. Excellent.
Okay, it's a pretty good feeling controller. These more generic fight boxes. You know, unfortunately, they're not any less expensive than than what we would think of as a major brand. But they're available. which is a lot different than some of these more traditional
Fight.
fight stick makers. You know. I don't know if I'll ever get used to this throw combo. I usually don't like them.
Fight. Fight.
Oh,
Finish
whoops.
him. You lose.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put the extra buttons where they are. It's kind of funky. You kind of have to move your hand around a little bit to get to them.
Fight. Fight.
All right, that might be overkill.
Brutality. Peacemaker wins. Fight.
Let's see. How do they want you to play this? I mean... So let's try that. I just want to start off simple. Simple, simple, simple. You know what I mean?
Finish him. Peacemaker wins.
All these relics are garbage. At least if last season was any indication. It's like I never used any of them in last season. They always had so many negatives, it was like, what was the point? What is this? Elemental damage increased by 20. You deal 500% increased block damage. You take constant ice damage over time. Again, why the hell would I want that? Makes no damn sense. Did I hit the wrong button? What the hell happened there? Maybe hit the menu button. These are always weird. It's like, why have a treasure chest as one spot and then launch you into another treasure chest? I don't really get the philosophy behind this. Because then it's just like 3 consecutive rooms of one spot. Again, there are some things that just don't make sense to me. Oh, requires not met. Okay, then you get talismans that you can't even use. It's like, okay, guys. If you wonder why people hate invasions, it's, I mean, you gotta play it as a player. Which sounds silly, but yeah. Don't play it as a somebody who's looking for like a very unique challenge. Just think of the guy who just wants to play a fighting game. Maybe unlock some stuff. He doesn't necessarily want to do all this stuff. What was with this move? Doom.
Piss off.
That looks the exact same. The doorbuster and the committed kick look exactly the same. And what is the difference? I'm sure there is.
Peacemaker wins.
Oh wait, there's a, what was this? Forge? Yeah, well, I can't even equip my talisman. No sense of even using that. Would you like to recharge your talisman you can't use? Thanks. I think that answer is a no.
Fight.
Yeah, those seem like the same move, and I'm really... like, I'm sure they're not, but they look exactly the same. Unless it's not registering my move.
Finish him. Peacemaker wins. Fight.
Man, am I missing something? Ah, okay, the last move is different.
Finish him. Peacemaker wins.
It's interesting they changed this so that you only get experience after you complete a tower. Not sure what prompted that change.
Your might. Excellent.
Yeah, and I really do like the approach they took to the characters and their proportions this time around. Like I always felt that characters were like too wide in Mortal Kombat 11. Here they're a little bit more natural looking.
Finish him.
You really don't
Peacemaker
and you don't really think about it until you see it side by side with Mortal Kombat 11. It's like everybody's like so like stretched. It's like everybody was made in like a 4:3 screen, and then you hit the full screen button, and like everybody just got stretched to the side, which I think was a popular look for that time. You know, just having everybody be kind of like a little stubby and thick. But looking back at it now, I mean, this art style I much prefer. I kind of feel like some of the characters in Street Fighter 6 have that problem, but not everyone. And then everyone in Tekken 8 looks like they were just stretched out from 4:3 to 16:9. I don't know what it is with that game. You know, it's a fun game to play, of course, but just everybody's just so like squat and fat, or not fat, but just stretched. I guess maybe I just like the look of Tekken Tag Tournament too. I thought that had like a perfect look.
Fight. Finish her.
Nope. Okay. Buttons being in a different place just really it does throw me off a little bit.
Flawless victory.
It's almost time for bed. I had to make it kind of a short session. We'll have longer sessions of this. I know nobody really covers invasions, so I think it's sort of nice just to take a look at what they've done. You hear a lot of complaining about it, but you know, you don't actually really see anybody play the game.
Poser. Found it.
Finish him.
You'd also think with the way that these games play, where there's a lot of you know, pre-made sequences, that they'd be able to deal with lag better. But you know, WB as a publisher, they decided to go really cheap with this game. Number one, not only releasing it too early in the development cycle, but then just all the on the WB infrastructure, just spending the minimum amount of money to get this thing working, which is causing, you know, a lot of performance issues, and the connection is you know, kind of suspect on a lot of times when you play. Whereas if you look at like Tekken 8 and even Street Fighter, to most of the extent, I mean, those games play significantly better in terms of the responsiveness to network congestion, right?
Finish her.
I mean, you can play Street Fighter 6 on, you know, a reasonable Wi-Fi network, and still play pretty well, right? Without too many lag spikes. And Tekken, you can play on a lot of different connections. Not the worst, of course. I mean, it still requires a little bit more than a Street Fighter, for whatever reason. The engineering is just a little bit different on there, but games tend to play and tend to feel very, very close to what they're like offline. But in the case of Mortal Kombat, I mean, the offline and online play just are not even the same game. So you really have to get used to a different way to, or a different timing of your buttons. In Mortal Kombat, you know, the timing of the buttons is everything. I mean, that's the gameplay. It's not just the combination, it's also when you hit the buttons. That's true of Street Fighter and Tekken as well, but less so, I think. Right.
Peacemaker wins.
Hopefully they fix it at some point in time. WB has made a ton of money off of Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's still... if it wasn't for Smash Brothers, it would be the #1 selling fighting game. I think of this generation it is, because Smash Brothers has kind of hit a plateau. There's only so many people left to buy that game. And things like Street Fighter and Tekken, they just don't hit anywhere near the sales numbers that Mortal Kombat does. I mean, Mortal Kombat's, you know, as a series, is just an absolute juggernaut. You know, tens of millions is not an abnormal thing. But you know, in Street Fighter, I mean, that takes many, many, many years to kind of get to that same level, and they never ever seem to hit it. You know, like Mortal Kombat 11 just sold just a ton. You know, again, you know, in the multiple millions, past the tens of millions, which you know, Street Fighter just couldn't get there. Even though there's a larger, you know, perceived pedigree for Street Fighter, it's just the sales just are not there in comparison. Even though the sales are good, so don't get me wrong. Like Capcom considers Street Fighter successful, and Namco considers Tekken 8 successful, but they just will not. They will never have the sales that Mortal Kombat will ever have. Even in this game, which is perceived to be, you know, a game that is not as strong as the last game. I mean, the perception's there, but as far as the sales go, I mean, it sold pretty well. So the folks at WB just they probably do not care one iota about the Flame Wars and people criticizing the game, because it sells, and it has sold. Now, how it'll sell in the end compared to Mortal Kombat 11, I mean, it's really hard to say. Mortal Kombat 11 really, really sold a lot. I mean, it sold a lot. It'd be very hard to compete with that number of sales. I think the thing that's that you see very common is that people who are, you know, like professional fighting game players, or people who make fighting game content, they tend to hate Mortal Kombat 11. You know, and just sort of dismiss that as really as even a good game. But this game, I think there's more favor for this game, despite all the other issues. You know, the quality of life, server performance, online performance. Like in general, this is like a better, more fun game for people who really, really like fighting games. You know, as their primary game genre. And I agree. I really like this, you know, significantly more than Mortal Kombat 11. But will it sell as much? It'd be very hard for Mortal Kombat 1 to sell as much as Mortal Kombat 11. I mean, that game sold like gangbusters. It rode on an incredible wave of goodwill from Mortal Kombat 10 too, or Mortal Kombat X. I don't know why people don't want to call it Mortal Kombat 10, but.
Finish her.
But yeah, it's interesting the conversation that has gone on, because like this is a really good
Peacemaker wins.
I would say that it's pretty obvious that that when they made this game, they were making it with the intention of satisfying like the kind of the more hardcore fighting game fan, because they really simplified all the systems in Mortal Kombat 11, maybe to the point where it was too simple for people who play these games for a living, but not too simple for everybody else. Right? For the vast majority of the the 15 million, 60 million in sales that Mortal Kombat 11 did, it's not even a million people that thought that that game was too simple. I mean, maybe like 200,000, I think, at the most, would consider that game just too simple. But for somebody who plays fighting games professionally, that game is too simple, too easy to read, not enough variety, right? All the kind of complaints that this game doesn't have. If anything, this game is much, much more complex, and sort of favors somebody who likes to do more complex things and have more spur of the moment sort of situations in the game. I think they've done it pretty well. I just think it's really hard for people to kind of take in the cameo system. Like, if people thought of the cameo system as the same thing as variations in Mortal Kombat 11, then I think people would have like maybe a little bit easier time kind of getting their head around it. And even though they got the cameos to just be a single button, it's like a single button and a direction, and sometimes it's diagonals, like with Shujinko, which is super annoying. And then it's not necessarily like obvious how you use a cameo. That's why like the most simple cameos are the most popular. Do I meet conditions? I don't. I got this stuff which I don't meet conditions with, and I don't really want to use, so yeah, bonus, I guess. Alright, I'm kind of getting more used to the controller. Sort of feeling a little bit more natural. It does take a little while. I'm still not going to do anything impressive yet. As I said, Peacemaker's new to me.
Peacemaker wins.
There's a lot of ins and outs to the character. But overall, I'm personally happy with this game. I think I really like it. I do wish it had like all the diversity of modes like Mortal Kombat 11. I think that's where Mortal Kombat 11 really shines. Is that they did spend quite a bit of time in that game. They weren't rushed to market like this game. WB for some reason must have blown all that Harry Potter money. Because that Harry Potter game has sold multiple millions, and somehow they were still struggling for money. Their game version still struggles for money.
Finish him.
But they had to push this game out. And I think
Peacemaker wins.
the Suicide Squad game, obviously another WB published game. I think that's getting like a lot more criticism than it deserves. Like, it's a really fun game. In fact, at some point in time, we're going to start playing that again. There's more content and stuff for that thing. But I see like the very popular griefers out there just really kind of getting down on that game. And it's really because they're just butthurt that it wasn't part of the Arkham series, or it doesn't play like an Arkham game. It's like, man, it's a looter shooter, and it's just like it's just an average looter shooter. I really wish it was the brawler, and I'm gonna just be so sour and salty about it until the day's gone by, until the end of the earth. I'm gonna wish that they made that game. I mean, it's like I gotta be honest with you. Like those Arkham Knight games were always getting worse. I mean, Arkham City was good, right? Really, really good. Pretty, I don't know, innovative is probably not the right word for it, but it was really fun. Good game. Enjoyed playing that one. Never finished it because it kind of waned a little bit in the last part of the game, but still thought it was great. Arkham City, really good. You know, good improvements. Kind of give you a big city and a big playground to play with. Made a lot of improvements. And then after that, the Arkham games have not been that good. They've been on a steady decline. You know, you had Arkham Origins, not bad, but not great. You know, just kind of an average game. You had the especially awful, or in my opinion, awful Arkham Knight. I mean, Arkham Knight is a terrible game. It has incredibly poor performance, especially if you're playing on PC. The Batmobile sections are just, I don't know, they're just tedious, and the whole thing feels tedious. It's a very hard game for anybody to finish, or for normal people to finish. So, you know, in my opinion, having them go to a looter shooter, well, and I guess there's Gotham Knights too. Having them go to a looter shooter was probably a better decision because they just really haven't been making good games lately in that series. You know, they got 2 really good games out the gate, and then everything else has just been kind of not as good. So, I find the looter shooter nice. It's fun. You know, I never really got frustrated in all the parts that people claimed were too frustrating or too stupid or, you know, what have you.
Fight.
Is it worth $70? No. Definitely not. Especially $70 plus you have to pay for all this DLC that they're just trying to cram down your throat. It's like, you know, if you're gonna make a $70 game, then don't just cram DLC down my throat. You know, make it a free to play game if you're gonna try to make money off DLC. That's the thing that makes sense.
Peacemaker wins.
But outside of that, totally had fun with it. You know, in that flash fight that I saw some reviewers, you know, really criticizing a lot. I mean, we played through that flash fight and it was fun. It's like, do you just not know how to play this game, and that's why it seems frustrating? I just don't really get it sometimes, you know. So yeah, I mean, we'll definitely play more of that game. Because I think it's well done, and I think it's a fun time. Although it has the same sort of problems that this game does, since WB the publisher is they're too busy blowing money on the other endeavors that they have to have the game division try to make up for it. I don't know, maybe cut down on all the cocaine for the executives. And all their terrible financial advisors who seem to just have one wrong decision after another. And maybe if they got rid of those folks instead of, you know, pushing on the game portion of their studio, maybe things would work out better for them. I don't know. But you know, you can only squeeze the gamer so far because the competition for games is incredibly high now. And granted, you know, they may not have really been aware of that 5 years ago, or as aware of it as they are now. But again, these are the kind of things that you have to plan ahead of time. Making really, really good games that sell a lot is a very expensive endeavor. Sometimes not very profitable either. You know, to us, we buy a game for $70, and you know, we kind of think it's too high. But you know, there's lots and lots of people behind a video game that make it. You know, they got to be paid salaries or contracts. They got to get health insurance. You know, they got to be competitively paid in the market, or else they won't be able to attract company. You know, so there's a lot of things that go into a game that need to happen, and it's very expensive. And I certainly don't like paying the $70 price, but kind of really at the end of the day, it's probably too cheap, considering how much games cost. And if people want to be able to play like the highest quality games, in a reasonable amount of time, that don't completely bankrupt a publisher or a development studio, then, we have to pay that price, that higher price. Otherwise, the hobby is, not going to die, but it will just be forced to undergo many painful layoffs, and certainly I don't like that. So, anyway, kind of got off tangent there, but yeah, this is Miamurai, and you've been watching Mortal Kombat 1. We're playing a little bit of Invasions. We got another 13 days, I guess, until this lasts, so hopefully we'll get all the way through this. And I'll play this a little bit more. I had to pick one of these characters to really main. For a while, again, I was doing Sindel. But I think we might stick with Peacemaker. He's kind of a fun character. And just the character itself is a lot of fun. Peacemaker as a character from the Suicide Squad and just the WB universe, or not the WB, the DC universe is good times. So I'm glad that he's in here. We got like 2 more characters that we have to look forward to, or is it 3? Might be 3, but hopefully by that time, things will be ironed out from the tech side. They'll have better latency in the servers. They'll have full crossplay on all the modes. We'll have some maybe new modes, hopefully. Maybe rework Invasions. I think there's a lot that has to be done for Invasions for people to be as interested as they were in, the previous games. Mortal Kombat 11's single player content. And Mortal Kombat really does have like a giant audience for single player content. Much more so than the other fighting games in the genre. Again, only Smash Brothers really has such a large, fulfilling amount of single-player content. Other games, the Street Fighter series, the Tekken series, they depend on that multiplayer. But a lot of people don't. A good majority of the sales for Mortal Kombat are not for the multiplayer, or they're for only local multiplayer. I think people who are call themselves the fighting games fans, should probably realize that. How tiny of a portion of the market they make. They bring the hype, but they don't bring the sales. So it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.